In July 1973, 600,000 people descended on a small New York town for one of the biggest rock concerts in history. Two teenagers hitchhiked there to see the Grateful Dead and the Allman Brothers. They were never seen again. This is the story of America's oldest missing teen case and why it remains unsolved after 50 years. July 27, 1973, 16-year-old Mitchel Weiser and 15-year-old Bonnie Bickwit stood on the side of State Route 97 in upstate New York, thumbs out, holding a cardboard sign that read Watkins Glen. They were heading to Summer Jam, a massive outdoor concert featuring the Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers, and the band. An estimated 600,000 fans made the journey that weekend. It would become one of the most attended concerts in U.S. history. But Mitchel and Bonnie, they vanished without a trace. The night before, Mitchel had boarded a bus from Manhattan's Port Authority, traveling 2 hours north to Camp Wilmette in the Catskills, where Bonnie worked as a counselor. The plan was simple: hitchhike 150 miles northwest to the concert, enjoy the show, and return home by Monday. On Friday morning, July 27th, but he had breakfast at camp, caught a ride into the nearby town of Narrowsburg, and began hitchhiking. A truck driver picked them up and dropped them off a short time later. He was the last known person to see them alive. Mitchel Weiser was a talented 11th grader from John Dewey High School in Brooklyn. At 5'7", with shoulder-length hair pulled into a ponytail and gold-rimmed glasses, he loved photography, baseball, and the Grateful Dead so much he named his dog after their song Casey Jones. Friends described him as fearless and a bit of a rebel. Bonnie Bickwit was sweet, highly intelligent, and strong-willed. At just 4'11" and 90 pounds, she had long brown hair, a freckled face, and a love for the Allman Brothers. She was accepted into the experimental John Dewey High School after personally writing to the principal, who was so impressed he framed her letter. The two met at school and quickly became inseparable. They were described as close to their families, responsible kids with bright futures. When Bonnie's camp supervisor denied her request for the weekend off to attend Summer Jam, she quit on the spot, but promised to return after the concert to collect her paycheck and belongings. That detail would become crucial. This wasn't a plan to run away. This was two teenagers excited about a concert. Meanwhile, at Watkins Glen, chaos was already unfolding. Organizers had sold 150,000 tickets for a one-day event, but 2 days before the show, nearly 200,000 fans had already arrived, with more pouring in by the hour. Roads shut down, fences collapsed. Eventually, producers gave up and declared it a free concert. By showtime, an estimated 600,000 people packed into the small village of Watkins Glen, population 2,700. To put that in perspective, 1 out of every 350 Americans attended this concert. It was larger than Woodstock. Despite the massive crowd, the event was remarkably peaceful. New York State Police reported no violent crimes, just minor arrests for drugs and traffic violations. Out of 600,000 people, only Mitchel and Bonnie disappeared. When Mitchel didn't return home by Monday, his family panicked. Bonnie's camp called her mother to report she hadn't picked up her paycheck or belongings. But when the families went to police, they were dismissed. Investigators in 3 New York counties, Sullivan, Schuyler, and New York City, wrote them off as hippie runaways who'd return eventually. There was never a real investigation. Files were lost. Dental records, critical for identifying bodies, disappeared. The NYPD promised to alert agencies statewide, but never did. Sullivan County didn't even open a case. A letter from a Wall Street Journal editor to the NYPD commissioner described how Mitchel's father was treated abusively when he complained. The letter stated, "Valuable time was lost." The commissioner acknowledged the complaint and promised a superior officer would investigate. Nothing happened. This was 1973, before missing children appeared on milk cartons, before the Amber Alert system, before the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children even existed. law enforcement had failed them. The families took matters into their own hands. They distributed thousands of flyers. They hired private detectives. They visited hippie communes, Native American reservations, and religious cults. Mitchel's sister even went undercover, infiltrating the Children of God sect searching for answers. They found nothing. Without resources or support, the families eventually ran out of money. Bonnie's mother, desperate and heartbroken, turned to psychics. The case went cold. For decades, Mitchel's parents kept their Brooklyn phone number listed in the directory, even after moving to Arizona. They paid $2.39 every month just in case their son called. He never did. In 1998, on the 25th anniversary of their disappearance, an investigative reporter uncovered a pattern of police incompetence. Original case files, witness lists, and dental records had all been lost. Today, Mitchel and Bonnie represent the oldest missing teen case in America. Their families and friends, now in their 60s and 70s, are calling for a task force to finally solve the case. Mitchel's sister, Susan Weiser-Liebgott, who has searched for her brother for 50 years, says a task force is exactly what we need. Quite frankly, it is the only way to solve their case. Experts say the 50th anniversary presents a unique opportunity. Someone who attended Summer Jam that weekend might remember something, a face, a conversation, a detail they didn't realize was important. The hope is that this is going to trigger a memory, says a director from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That could help break the case wide open. But time is churning short. Witnesses are aging. Memories fade. If there's ever going to be justice for Mitchel and Bonnie, it needs to happen soon. Their families deserve answers. After 50 years, they deserve closure. The Summer Jam mystery remains one of the most baffling cold cases in American history. Two bright, loving teenagers vanished from a crowd of 600,000, and no one knows why. Were they victims of foul play? Did they encounter the wrong person on that highway? Or is there something else the investigation missed all those years ago? If you were at Summer Jam in 1973, or if you have any information about Mitchel Weiser and Bonnie Bickwit, authorities are still hoping to hear from you. Even the smallest detail could make a difference. This case is a reminder that behind every cold case is a family still waiting, still hoping, still searching for the truth. If you found this story compelling, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. We cover forgotten cases, unsolved mysteries, and the stories that deserve to be remembered. Thank you for watching, and remember, someone out there knows something.